Hello everyone, welcome back to the Solo Score Rush Tournament in 2025. August is basically just started, we are 3 days in, but we are now almost done with the round 64 bracket. Brace yourselves, we've got yet another match to behold of How to Play SV 13 going up against Old Pigeon Seed 52. Both these players having made it out of the qualifier, How to Play SV, having the benefit of not being able to play in the playoffs, and Old Pigeon making it out with a clean victory out of the playoffs. They are here to face against each other off today to see who is going to be staying in the winners bracket and who is going to be knocked down into the losers bracket early on. But before we get onto that, as usual, I'm your sponsor, Epic Man 2, and joining alongside me is going to be none other than Potassium. How's your day been?
I'm doing pretty well today. I did unfortunately miss out on quite a lot of matches. This is the only one that I'm casting this weekend now.
No!
Yeah, I was scheduled for 6, unfortunately. But at least I get one coming in. I'm assuming the players are already in the lobby. Pray, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
But, yeah, hopefully we get a good match here. Seed 13 versus Seed 52, so a decent seed discrepancy, but of course these maps so far not quite as hard as the qualifier pool, so we're not expecting any gigantic score gaps to come from physicality at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just knowing the fact that, especially going off of some of the playoff scores from Old Pigeon here, they actually got some pretty well-rounded scores when it came to various of the maps here, getting about 9 ATK on like some of these like maps we've seen, such as Hypnotize and Cherry and so on. But even then, the round of 64 here is a ramp up from that stage. It's basically the point of round of 32 or round of 32 in most MWCs, as we all know. So going to be seeing that Rise 2 getting banned here, and we're also going to be seeing How to Play SV taking their ban next. So I would not be surprised if they were to go for some of the more abrasive picks, so to say. But even then, How to Play SV is kind of already well established as a player that it's kind of already difficult to discern which map exactly would be the most ideal to take off the board here.
Yeah, I mean, looking at kind of the scores that I'm seeing from the qualifiers, at least, How to Play SV did very well at, obviously, the more physical maps. We're looking at the later stages in the pool, but I think, you know, relatively, maybe a little bit weaker in some of the LN maps. Still very strong overall, obviously, but it's kind of up to whether or not Old Pigeon feels comfortable with this level of LN to go for one of those as a punish pick, but looks like the bans coming through. Old Pigeon banning a Rice and How to Play SV banning that LN1. I think fairly expected there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely makes a little more sense. I mean, LN is definitely one of those eels that I believe these two players would probably be at least have some falters there when it comes to certain like demographics, such as the fact that although How to Play SV was very well rounded with throughout majority of the qualifiers, it was only Deus Ex Machina that really faltered in their seeding placement because they got just above seed 30 on that one. Old Pigeon definitely a quite lower in the contrary to How to Play SV, as you would probably see off of the statistics sheet, but even then, like, it probably doesn't matter way too much here, as this is once again one of the first matches or first rounds in the whole tourney, so there's a lot to lo and behold here, really.
Yeah, it is a little bit hard to tell exactly how Old Pigeon is going to perform on map pools like this because of the difficulty change. From the qualifiers at the very least, qualifiers maps being quite hard, so players like Old Pigeon struggling to get those FCs is not necessarily going to reflect performance here. But we'll see. It is How to Play SV with the first picking one of the Rice maps.
Yeah, gotta be Swan Song, so definitely a bit of an interesting pick. I assume this is like one of those really safe picks to at least start the match off here, really. I mean, it definitely seems like just at least knowing the map itself, so yeah.
Maybe not. Site read time was just posted in chat there from How to Play SV, so...
Oh, you're kidding. No.
And if it's the first pick being site read, that makes me kind of suspect that perhaps the entire pool might be sight red here.
I would hope not, but I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I guess at this point you can't really predict like whether certain players would really like just go out of the way to just simply sight read maps unless you actually know them on like a more interconnected level, to say the least.
That is true. I also sometimes doubt when players say that they sight read in chat. You know, sometimes it feels like they're just memeing around a little bit. And I mean, especially here after the start that we're seeing here, HowToPlaySV holding about a 99.9% accuracy at the start.
Yeah, quite a solid start already so far. Both these players not having placed a foot wrong so far. HowToPlaySV definitely in the upper hand of advantages here. 99.90% accuracy to spare, whereas Old Pigeon basically 0.30% accuracy behind going into this more stream-oriented burst section. So there's definitely a lot of discrepancy between both these players here to be seen. But even then, there's still a lot of the map left, so you get a bit of a break sections of really brief. But HowToPlaySV's lead is really not that safe here, knowing that Old Pigeon has really just caught up to them by the hand. It's really just the matter of whether HowToPlaySV is going to be dropping, because I believe that's the one thing that Old Pigeon is going to at least require here going into the chorus soon.
Yeah, Old Pigeon do quite well with the accuracy as well. 99.67, it's about 0.2% behind. But as you said, not that much, only 4,000 points. And with both players holding FCs right now, it's not really going to be much damage at all in terms of the score lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really just down to being able to maintain the best consistency, and so far we can see that HowToPlaySV is managing really well with it. It's just Old Pigeon having taken a bit of a drop earlier that's going to bring the score lead at least 2,000 more into the favor of HowToPlaySV. But even then, the quarter is slowly being consumed. The cake slice is almost just about done and spared between about 8 people, as we can see. But even then, you get some more of these core jacks used with a lot of these bursts. But even then, the score line is actually going to increase on the side of HowToPlaySV. Old Pigeon having taken even more drops. It's just really the yellow 300s setting them apart, and some of these grades as well.
Yeah, or a few 200s being dropped here by Old Pigeon in the end section, but managing to hold on to the FC, which is quite important. Going to end up being 10,000 point lead for HowToPlaySV with the score V1 double S.
Remarkable.
But still, Old Pigeon keeping in this 10,000 points. Decent lead for HowToPlaySV, but definitely recoverable if there is some misses coming in from the later maps that we're going to see.
Absolutely, and we can see Old Pigeon opted in 40 immediate hybrid 2 picks are going to be reasons. I mean, the reasoning as to, I feel like, to reason at least with this pick specifically, it definitely makes a bit more sense to pick this out. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of a bit of a risk as well, just knowing the fact that HowToPlaySV is also able to perform just as well when it comes to a lot of the earlier game hybrids, and especially knowing that this map is nothing short of abrasive. I mean, even abrasive is just an understatement for this map specifically. I mean, when you got a jazz song like this from the likes of Psy and Star, then, well, you probably know that you're either cooked or you gotta get this in the bag.
Yeah, but I guess that kind of risk is what you would need to take if you are a player that is this low-seeded relatively to your opponent. You're kind of hoping for something more unpredictable to come up, maybe a bit of inconsistency to show from HowToPlaySV's side, and if Old Pigeon can find the FC in this one once again, there could be an angle for combo.
Yeah. So yeah, in a way, this pick is still relatively viable considering the amount of really funky moments that we have scattered throughout this map in general. It's really just coming down to who can really get the best consistency. But damn, there's a bunch of signals.
Good point there for Old Pigeon to break at the very start of the map, and actually drops down to below 99%.
I was just about to say that there was like a bunch of signals I could see that were kind of mixed. I mean, just seeing that How to Play SV's UR was kind of all over the place for a bit. You just saw like a bunch of these leaks being thrown around like it's Fruit Ninja or something, and then Old Pigeon also taking that one miss as well. This is their pick after all, so it's going to be a really tough situation for them if How to Play SV does get a breakpoint off of this map.
Yeah, I mean, we do see How to Play SV somewhat struggling with the accuracy a bit more than the previous pick at the very least. But Old Pigeon still needs to recover that to above 99 if he wants any chance of coming back into this score-wise.
Absolutely, and so far we can really see a lot of effort being put onto the side of Old Pigeon here. Both it seems like How to Play SV not invulnerable to a lot of these greats here that can really just appear out of nowhere. But even then, you just have a lot of this really tight gallops that you really just gotta whip your way for. And even then, this piano solo is really, this one being really Rice oriented. You just have a lot of these like bursts that it really just fluctuates in the tempo and speed overall, as you would probably expect from like most jazz compositions overall, or at least contemporary jazz for that matter. Old jazz is not quite like that in most cases.
And already approaching the end of the map, it is only 2 minutes long, so fairly short, so not much time left for Old Pigeon to be able to claw back a bit of a lead. This accuracy gap has maintained since the very beginning of the map. How to Play SV still on that full combo as well.
Absolutely, very good effort from How to Play SV to be able to prevent at least make a comeback from some tomfoolery that would have been seen, or at least earlier in the map. But even then, the scoreline, 20,000 points just about in favor of How to Play SV. Old Pigeon losing this pick ultimately. I guess this is already a bit of a bad sign that Old Pigeon is really going to need at least some glimmer of hope to be able to snag some points here and there, or at least some wins where the scoreline is at least far into their advantage.
Yeah, at the very least, it does look like How to Play SV has that dominance when it comes to the accuracy overall, like the ratio being just about twice as good with the 300 count on How to Play SV's side is going to be a massive hill for Old Pigeon to climb.
Yeah, indeed. But even then, whenever you're counting Mount Everest, you just really need to, whenever you're climbing something like Mount Everest, there's really just like different scales of it, like where it definitely would be kind of varying in terms of difficulty. Like whether it just depends on how high you are on the mountain. After all you really need to do is just get onto the white peak to be able to, I don't know, just reach the summit, really. And I believe that is exactly what Old Pigeon has to do here. I mean, you get a lot of Old Pigeons on the road either way, but seeing one on a mountain would be kind of interesting to see. Kind of like a glitch in the Matrix, if you will.
Yeah, we're gonna see a bit of a different pick coming out here. Going into the LN pool after that Rice and Hybrid didn't quite work out in Old Pigeon's favor, so trying out different things always a good idea when you're down in a match.
Indeed. Definitely a bit of an interesting. I don't think I have seen Control being played out in any of the in any of the matches yet, actually. I just remember that this map has some pretty funny LN dumps thrown in here and there.
LN dumps very easy to tank accuracy on as well, so an opportunity for either player to build up any kind of point lead over there. But 30,000 right now is the point lead for How to Play SV, so Old Pigeon's going to be wanting to win by as much as possible on one of these maps.
Absolutely. I think the main thing here is to really just, when you have control of the situation, you really just got to make use of the score tag system, because of the fact that, once again, this is a bit less conventional in comparison to most tournaments. So you're really just going to really need to rely on at least winning by a sufficient amount of score, to say the least. And knowing this map, this is definitely one of those picks where I feel where the result is going to be, if not all over the place, or at least like it's probably going to be either biased onto one side, or both these players going to be struggling equally on it. I mean, not sure about How to Play SV, knowing that they are pretty versatile in the field of LNs, especially from the likes of Livium, who actually kind of has a bunch of these maps where you just really need to rely on the control of the LNs. Old Pigeon, not too shabby on them either, really.
Yeah, actually very close accuracy so far. Only 0.1% between the two, and scores kind of flickering towards Old Pigeon potentially if HowToPlaySV drops any more accuracy.
Alright, so we have a bit of turmoil in the match here. So far, both the scores actually the closest it's been arguably throughout the entire match, and we're only going into the halfway mark. So it's really just some of these misjudgments that we see from the side of Old Pigeon that's really bringing the score up by a few hundreds. But even then, HowToPlaySV is still trading them back. You can see at least some of these goods and greats being thrown out, but Old Pigeon taking a bit of a drop is also going to really just balance it out a bit as the score at least stays on HowToPlaySV's life for a bit longer.
Yeah, Old Pigeon really struggled in that like slightly lighter section of the map, but it was the more dense section that we're probably about to see coming up again, where Old Pigeon was really gaining that lead back. So hopefully we'll see some of the points close pretty soon.
Yeah. Hopefully Old Pigeon can really just close the gap, because I feel with a map like this is probably their best, this has probably been their best opportunity of being able to try and change things a bit, especially with how abrasive this song is in general. Just the fact that you have a bit of this more unorthodox, like EDM type of song that you have. I mean, it's definitely a lot more modern. But even you have some of these jacks thrown in as well for extra measure, but Old Pigeon is going to be the one suffering from them instead of HowToPlaySV still managing really well, but there's only really just a few seconds of the map left to spare to be able to shift matters, and at the end, there's a 10,000 point difference once again.
Yeah, it looks so good for Old Pigeon at the halfway mark, but HowToPlaySV managing to stabilize the accuracy after that for the second half, while Old Pigeon just fell off a little bit, got a little bit less comfortable towards the end of that map. And it is going to be another 10,000 points. Still just small point leads, not massive amounts for each map, but because HowToPlaySV is just coming out ahead on all of them, this is building up now, and 40,000 points is starting to be a quite significant lead.
Absolutely, and even then, Old Pigeon has been doing really well to at least ensure that HowToPlaySV gets the most minimal amount of advantages possible when it comes to the score lead, because it is still under 40,000, even with such a pretty good streak so far of victories per map. There really only needs to be at least another map until we have the second bans roll out, so I would not be surprised if HowToPlaySV was to go for something that is a little, maybe out of the box, maybe. So maybe something like, is it going to be Rice 1 or Luciferine?
Yeah, I would think one of the Rices coming out would make a lot of sense here, yeah. Definitely looked very comfortable on that first pick that we saw.
Yeah, it turns out it's going to be Luciferine, looking as seen as HowToPlaySV did a bit of a gamble to see which one is going to be the one for the taking.
Yeah, the good old roll 2.
Always love some of those roll 2s. But yeah, it's kind of a interesting change of pace, to be honest.
Yeah, complete opposite style song, that's for sure.
Yeah. To be honest, I think there needs to be like more songs that are like as different like as this in a Mania tournament format, just because of the fact that it really just, this map really just emphasizes on the concept of vocal dump and really just pushes it to a bit of a more abstract scale, especially with the likes of Ichiko Aoba, who is actually pretty well known in current music industry for a lot of these more interesting folk songs, especially as you can hear here, like specifically.
Yeah, I love the music diversity coming into the pool as well. Definitely also leads into, as you said, the map diversity as well. This kind of vocal dump being an interesting one to test in a tournament as well. But it looks like HowToPlaySV. What is this ratio? 99.94.
Okay, that is definitely a bit of a threat to Old Pigeon here. Immediately going for the throat right there. How to play SV, trying their best to really try and make sure that the accuracy is at least at the top of the leagues here. Especially on top of the fact that this map is insanely abrasive. You know, it's established that it is a vocal dump map, but you have a lot of places that, despite the intensity of the song, it's really just about following the vocals, which are so intricate in its own right, that How to Play SV really is trying their best to pull off of it. Old Pigeon not too far behind ever. The efforts not too shabby on their end either. It's really just the consistency that is the most de facto important when it comes to this map.
Yeah, really strong scores from both players. You said 99.7 is a very good performance from Old Pigeon, but I actually just don't know how anyone hits like 99.9 on a map like this. There are no consistent snaps to be seen here.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's also part of the joy of it, to be honest. I mean, like, I'm a killer from maps like these where it's just really experimental in terms of trying to bring out the song itself. So the fact that we get to see content like this in the tournament is sick to see, honestly. I'd kill to see more of it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm a big vocal dump enjoyer myself, even though I suck at them. But that is going to be How to Play SV 997k.
96.
We're seeing a 2-digit 300 count on a map like this. That is exceptional.
Holy damn. But even then, that was not even that much of a score lead either. Like How to Play SV going into the second ban wave, it's still just flat under 3,000 points away from being able to just simply win off the match. But even then, Old Pigeon has not even won a single map yet.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the double SS, by the way. Just saying, Old Pigeon managed to get that SS as well. Very impressive. But yeah, as you said, the accuracy difference proving to be too much. 47,000 points now. 0 points on the board for Old Pigeon. As we get into the second ban phase, they are going to be able to ban maps themselves. I would imagine maybe Old Pigeon banning another one of these Rice. And perhaps How to Play SV banning the other LN pick is what I would imagine here.
Yeah, it seems like How to Play SV gonna be going for another role. Okay, it is Fate, they said. Is this for Rice, or is
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's Rice. Okay, yeah.
I was just about to say that. I was just about
five
to say
is every map left over.
Nice. I was actually expecting this one to be banned. I mean, just the fact that I know that Old Pigeon struggles a little bit with consistency, a little more than How to Play SV here. So I would definitely have imagined this one being the ban, and LN2 also getting banned. Damn.
Okay, wait. So wait, these are the two maps that I thought would get banned, but by the opposite players.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough.
That's actually really funny. But even then,
because yeah, the LN map was the one that definitely looked the best for Old Pigeon so far in this match. So I would have thought that LN2 would have been the natural place to go to try one more maybe. But it looks like instead, oh, we are going to be getting Hybrid 3 coming out from Old Pigeon instead.
intriguing choice. I am not saying this to be egotistical. I hope nobody says that. I literally forgot this map existed until, like, I don't know. I heard from the old grapevine that the hosts wanted to use this map in the tournament. So, dear me.
Well, we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah. To give a bit of a brief header as to what this map actually consists of, it's kind of all over the place in terms of just how it really capitalizes on song expression, and it basically just infuses, I guess it's if you were to infuse, like, maybe stuff like Gaviscon and Luciferine, but mix it in with controls we've seen earlier, making probably one of the culminations that I feel most players would probably fear going into this map. But I don't know, it seems like both these players are actually managing well with it regardless.
Yeah, as usual, what we've seen from these like more technical LN hybrid picks so far, we are getting the, on average, lower accuracies compared to the Rise picks. And actually not too far apart between the two players, 99.4 versus 99.6.
Absolutely. Going into the first course, so far, it's only really just both these players having taken a few breaks here and there that's going to detriment the score a bit. But even then, HowToPlaySV is managing with the consistency factor a bit more going into the end of the course and into the second verse. Old Pigeon a bit far behind, going off of some of these greats here. You are kind of throwing a bunch of more vegetables down there as well into the green marks. That is not the best of signs that you'd want to see, especially with how kind of abstract this map is in question, with how it really just matches with...
Oh!
What?
Oh, wait, this is the opportunity that Old Pigeon's been waiting for the entire match. HowToPlaySV finally misses something, but actually still has the accuracy lead.
This is exactly what I would hope, what I would have hoped that Old Pigeon had manifested, but even there's only a few seconds left of the map, just do not choke on this LN section, and they basically got it. Wait.
Oh, it is. It is going to be a lead for Old Pigeon coming out of that one. 1,000 points, so very small difference, but massive win.
That's actually very massive. Holy damn. Okay, bro. Now, there was two.
Huge one hit from Old Pigeon to put it on the board, and as we are now, there is one more map to be played in the regular stage, and I mean, if this score lead doesn't move, more in favor of HowToPlaySV, we will be seeing the tiebreaker come out.
I feel that is the one situation that Old Pigeon is going to want to avoid. But even then, the stakes are really just at an all-time high here. There's only really two options. But even then, I feel that both these options in question are just dangerous for Old Pigeon. Okay, is it Daikirai? I think it is. Yeah, okay. Yep. About time. About time that we get two hybrids in a row, one abstract one, and then one of the more straightforward ones at least. This is definitely going to be a bloodshed if I've seen one.
Yeah, and it's going to be HowToPlaySV. They want to be winning this by 4,000 points or more. If they want to avoid that tiebreaker situation, Old Pigeon needs to be keeping it, and ideally, Old Pigeon wants to be winning this by a decent point margin if they want to have a chance in that tiebreaker.
Absolutely. I think at this point, really, for HowToPlaySV here, it's not really about how to really play SV, but more how to strategize after this pick, especially like just being able to, like, let's say for example, if they do not end up winning on this map, I know that both these players are relatively equal when it comes to some of these when it comes to a lot of these more straightforward patterns, but HowToPlaySV kind of dropping a bit on some of these really odd shields mixed in with streams. That's gonna equalize the score lead, even while it has a very small bias on the side of HowToPlaySV. Old Pigeon is catching up by a very small margin. There's only really just thousands of points between the two players. If one of them wants to be able to secure the lead, someone's going to have to take the sacrifice.
Yeah, this point lead is staying around 1,000, 2,000 points, only 0.2% difference. Old Pigeon's hanging in it so far.
Absolutely. HowToPlaySV doing a really good job of being able to maintain the consistency factor. It's really just having a try and complete the quota of doing it throughout the whole map, because if they do it until the end of the map, then that is going to be really good, as that is going to be their point of victory. But as the tempo speeds up, things also become a lot more difficult and dangerous as well.
And this point lead now actually starting to reach 6,000 points. That is enough for HowToPlaySV to win the match outright if it ends right here. Old Pigeon's going to have to hope for another miss like we saw on the previous map.
absolutely. And with a lot of this coordination patterns that you see, 1,000 points have been depleted from.
Oh.
Oh no! Not again, bro. Oh. There's still time.
There's the miss. And now Old Pigeon just needs to hold on, just need to capitalize on this one. Accuracy lead still in favor of How to Play SV, but this is enough for maybe Old Pigeon to take the lead in a little bit, or maybe it's not. No, not anymore. Oh, what a
tone as well.
What an unfortunate spot to miss. That was on nothing. The easiest pad in the map.
This is why I hate break times in maps. They are just so scary and nerve-wracking.
It is the hardest point of the map sometimes, is the break.
Yeah, exactly. My moral enemy. But at the end of the day, despite everything, Old Pigeon had a really good grasp on both these hybrids for a good portion. But at the end of the day, How to Play SV is going to be remaining victorious and taking it over by over 10,000 points of a deficit.
And that's going to end the match right away. We were so close there to seeing the tiebreaker come out between the two players, but How to Play SV clutching it up in the end, going to be winning the match in 6.
Absolute poetic justice served right there. But yeah, unfortunately for Old Pigeon here, they are going to have to swarm another street here. The streets are now off limits over here in the winners bracket for them. They're going to have to advance into the losers bracket, facing off against. Is it Illuminate? Is it? It's either between Illuminated or LS Mari, if I'm not mistaken.
I do not have the bracket in front of me, so I cannot confirm either way. But for sure, we are going to be seeing some higher and higher level competition the further we get into this tournament.
Oh, absolutely. I am honestly ready for that to happen. It's just literally built in my DNA to expect the real souls to really be put onto this pizza. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm really excited to also see the map pools getting harder and harder every week as well with this format that really does kind of make every single miss that much more important.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, despite that, it seems like both these players are going to be playing through Rise 5 for the hell of it. So, do we really want to close it off here, or shall we just watch? Because I don't know.
I'm not sure what we're doing. We'll see.
Fairs.
I guess we're here. We can watch it if we want.
Sure, why not? That'll be fun. Alright. Old Pigeon making a start. I don't know where How to Play SV's banjo client went. Bro, this gym workout literally destroyed my arms. I cannot feel anything anymore. I might actually lose it. It's been like this for 2 days. I need the fibers back or something. I don't know. However you
2 days? Wait, yeah. 2 days. 2 days is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. Although I used to feel this a lot whenever I went to the gym, but I just haven't been in like over a year. Like, it's insane. I think the last time I went was just before I did my MWC tryouts last year or something. It was chaotic. Oh dear. Anyways, yeah. Seems like the show match for Rise 5 is a go, and seems like it can be confirmed we can just end it right after. So far, going into this section where you got a lot of these bursts, a lot of these really control-heavy patterns and bursts here from the likes of Miklik on Gaviscon. Definitely a bit of an interesting combo if you really are familiar with both of these entities, to say the least.
And or miss from Old Pigeon there. We see once again how to play SV kind of started with a little bit lower accuracy, but building that back up again. We are going to be seeing that 99.85 looking just so comfortable on these Rice maps.
Nice.
I think this kind of does go to show for any of the future opponents for how to play SV as well. Rice is definitely not where you want to be taking the match.
Unless you are maybe as well versed in Rice as how to play SV here, but it depends for everyone.
There's some strong players in this tournament. I'm sure there are some absolutely crazy matches that can happen in the Rice pool.
Oh yeah. Trust me, I have the map pool already. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get hectic later on.
I'm excited to see that one. But closing out on this one, we do see a 200 from How to Play SV, but looking way too comfortable in this map, especially with that miss earlier from Old Pigeon. Looking like it would have been a comfortable victory either way for How to Play SV.
Indeed, but even then, there are some signs where being super comfortable or being too comfortable can be kind of discomforting, as much as that may be. I guess an oxymoron to say the least, but
yeah, I mean, no, it does happen. It's what happens during the breaks and maps, right? As soon as you kind of like release a little bit of that tension, all of a sudden your fingers don't work, and
yeah, definitely don't want it in any match. I've had it before. It's literally giving me war flashbacks every time.
Yeah, we've all been there at some point for sure. But this is going to be the end of this stream, I believe. I don't think we have... When's the next match? Do we have another one in 30 minutes, perhaps?
Yeah, that's fair. Going to be none other than Acel facing off against Snow, Sun, Snow. So it's going to be cool.
Yeah, make sure you stick around for that one. That is going to be in about half an hour. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Catch you then.